you tell I'm in denial?
You can't stay at the top forever.
I was also very surprised when I looked at my phone and saw Joe Girardi dismissed.
Well, I think mine were with common sense.
I think now belongs in the all-time greats top 10.
Boston, I really think only got to this point because of a guy named Chris Middleton being out for the Bucks.
That power play just was unbearable. It was humming.
Man, am I happy. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew he was going to come back.
When I think of New York Yankees now is Judge, probably people in the past when Jeter was coming up.
I would be shocked. A little bit hurt.
Hey, this is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com, and Valley Sports Southwest. You are listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. Another hypothetical question, as we've had this. We've always had the running back discussion, the man on the other side of the running back discussion, Austin. And this sort of came from the running back discussion.
Yeah, this did, and if you guys haven't listened to that video, please do. It was about Zeke. It was more of a Zeke video, but we did get into more semantics around everything else. So please check it out if you haven't. But what's the best way to develop a QB? Kevin and I are going to disagree on this again, but in my opinion, it's the Mahomes, Favre, Rodgers, Jordan Love, Brady, Joe Montana, all of those guys, or Drew Brees. All those guys did not start their first year. They may have played a tiny bit, but they did not start. And I think that's the best way to mold a QB into a great starter. Kevin, you disagree because of money, but I've said this before we recorded, that patience is a virtue, and you just have to ride it out and let them learn. You're paying them to learn their first season. You're paying them to learn. And that learning is invaluable towards the rest of their career.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I do agree it is developing and kind of seeing what do they need. The problem is the money, but that 1 year, because to me, the best way to develop a quarterback is to have the offensive mind and to take a break in the rookie year. I would say kind of right now, the leader, of course, is Andy Reid with what he did to Mahomes, but I am also thinking Kevin O'Connell is kind of that quarterback guru almost because of what he's done with Sam Darnold, brought out the best in Kirk Cousins. I'm very interested to see what happens with J.J. McCarthy. And he also brought in Daniel Jones. So to me, the best way is to give them some time, let them adjust. However, I do think it's important because some quarterbacks just need to go out and play. I think it was important that Caleb Williams was playing and he was put in a good situation. The key is situation and building around them because he had great wide receivers. The problem to me, though, was sort of the system around him and the quarterback and the coaching because I don't think he was put in the best. He didn't have the best environment with coaching. Matt Eberflus was a defensive coach and Shane Waldron they fired. We had videos talking about the Bears because it is going to be very hard. I'm very interested to see what happens with Caleb Williams. Because it really is nature versus nurture. The quarterback, all quarterbacks are, I would say, gifted in the NFL. It's just realizing that and adjusting to the league, which to me is where the nurture, it's more nurture than nature versus in the NFL in terms of quarterbacks. You could argue with all positions, but quarterback, it gets put to the highest because I'm trying to think. I was really high on Trevor Lawrence. You were really high on Justin Fields, and they haven't really lived up to that hype. And you could argue because of the nurture and the environment they were put in as quarterbacks.
I think that you need to learn without the pressure of a 300-pound lineman down your throat. I feel like if you learn without the pressure of being sacked, without the pressure of throwing a pick, without the pressure of fans talking about how bad you're playing, is a much more free and learning positive environment. I just don't think that players putting them straight into the fire. I mean, obviously Peyton eventually figured it out, but Peyton Manning was the worst rookie QB ever. He had most interceptions ever. He may have not been the worst rookie QB, but very close to it. You can't be much worse. Now, yes, he did learn from that and became a great QB in the later stages of his career. But I do think that we wouldn't have seen his rookie year or his first year as a starter be that poor if he had taken a year off to start and learn. Because QBs is a lot about thinking. It's a lot of mind games. It's a lot of learning how to read defenses, read players, know where to throw the ball, when to throw the ball, how to make audible. And that's something you can learn just watching the game with a good QB coach and just having a guy in front of you so you can say, hey, this is where that guy made a mistake. How can I avoid doing that? And I don't think throwing a guy into the fire is the best way to do it. I think that's a problem we've seen with Justin Fields. I think he was thrown into the fire too early. I mean, you mentioned Caleb Williams. We'll see how that works. Jaden Daniels obviously worked out, but we'll see how that impacts the rest of his career. Sometimes it does work out immediately, but I do think that in the majority of situations, I would not start a rookie QB that I am planning on playing. That's why I didn't hate the Penix QB pick as much as you did. I did hate it because I felt like it was disingenuous to Cousins in that they should have went in a different direction to help the rest of the team. But I don't hate it as much as you did because you still will have a player that you like grow in front of a veteran QB.
Yeah, and the 1 year isn't too bad. It's not bad, but to me, the thing I hate about the Penix and I hate about Jordan Love is, and the Jordan Love, you saw what happened, is yes, he is a great quarterback, and definitely keeps elevating and being a like top, yeah, we'll have to see but top 10 great quarterback. And the problem is with how the quarterback market is. It really isn't. I'm trying to think of a wide receiver market, but that's kind of turning into in the NFL and quarterback. It's just, okay, this was the previous quarterback deal. I want more than that. It doesn't really matter that when Dak Prescott's quarterback contract came up and where he needed an extension, it was, okay, Mahomes has this or Jordan Love has this. I want more. And you really can't argue as the GM, well, actually, he's a better quarterback than you, and you haven't done as much. And Mahomes is the biggest one because where he got that big contract and then people just kept going over it. It really is next quarterback contract is the biggest one, no matter really the play. So it's really the market. So, and that's going to take up a lot of your cap and it's going to make it hard to maneuver. You can still maneuver around it of mixing money, but you're still going to have to pay that quarterback. To me, that's where the rookie contract comes in and that fifth year. You really want to hit on that fifth year and to where the Eagles did it great with Carson Wentz. And I would say the Eagles are probably the best front office. I can see an argument, but I would say the Eagles are probably the best front office because they did the same thing with Hurts too. They drafted Wentz, had him on his rookie contract, extended a fifth-year option, and during that, they spent money on other areas. And they specifically did it with Jalen Hurts, even though he was a second-round pick. Took some time, but while he was on that rookie contract, they went and signed A.J. Brown. They went and also, I think, signed Miles Sanders. They went out and paid money. So to me, that's where you want to have that chance to spend money. And then once you hit on the quarterback, you can spend money on him, but also not focus on other areas, sort like the Chiefs did with wide receiver and defense.
So you don't think that you should give a second contract to a QB?
No, I think you should because it's hard to replace it. The key with that second contract though is you're just paying them what they're worth. You get a discount with the rookie contract. And so to me, I would take full advantage while they're playing to a great quarterback. Because imagine
you don't know if they're going to do that as a rookie, right? So I think to give them the best chance of being a great quarterback is to have that year off.
The 1 year off to me is pushing it, but I understand with the 1 year off, and that's what they did with Mahomes because you do have the fifth-year contract, so you still have the 4 years. But it's the development, such with Rodgers, and the development with Favre as well, and Brady, and years ago, even with Romo too. Romo didn't really become a starter till 4 years later. Rodgers 3 years later. Favre, I want to say, is 2. Same
Yeah.
thing with Brady. You really can't put a
Well,
lot of
Brady was a starter his second season. Well,
Okay.
like 3 games in, Bledsoe gets hurt, and then he's a starter after that. So it was only 1 real year he was off, and then it was like 3 games or 4 games.
But yeah, and I get Kirk Cousins too, which is just weird because they had 2 quarterbacks drafted. He sat behind RG3, then came in. The key thing to me is just that extra year because the Packers are still doing well and they're doing well. But the thing that I would argue is, okay, you draft Jordan Love. Well, maybe we'll do Penix, but let's say they don't draft Kirk Cousins, or they don't sign Kirk Cousins, they draft Penix. They have someone else. They could have spent money on other areas like they did with Kirk Cousins, but they're getting high level from their quarterback because they chose right and they put everything around him. Then after the first or 2 years, they're like, well, we need a star defensive tackle. They go and sign someone. It's having that money to help other areas of the team while you're getting a discount at the quarterback because of just what that quarterback market is right now. That's the thing I'm trying to talk about in the second contract is that's what they're really worth, but in their first contract, you're getting a discount so you can utilize the money in different ways.
So would you start a rookie QB their first year?
I probably wouldn't start them at first because you've seen like Dak technically didn't start till halfway through the season. I would
What do you
give them
mean?
time. I thought,
No. Romo got hurt in preseason.
oh yeah, you're right. Okay, so Dak really came in. Brock Purdy, though, later in the season, I would make it a true competition, and I would kind of take a developmental guy, but also I wouldn't mind playing them. Like I wouldn't have mind playing Caleb Williams all games, which he did. I just would I'm not against playing them, but I understand the development, and I think if I take a second or third round quarterback, I would rest them and let them just figure it out, get used to it. Because to me, they're not as polished as a first round quarterback.
I mean, but we've seen unpolished QBs go in the first round, aka Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. To me, that's where I wouldn't do an unpolished. I would try if I get the number 1 overall pick, I'm probably not going to rest him. I'm probably not going to let him develop in a year. I'm going to just play him.
I still think I would.
Like I understand Mahomes because he was raw. Same thing with Richardson. But if I'm taking a Lawrence, Joe Burrow is an interesting case because he got injured his rookie year.
Yeah.
And then he was on fire. But if I'm taking the number 1, number 2 overall pick, I'm not really drafting you based on your potential. I am drafting on potential, but I'm going to draft you number 1 overall. You can play. But if I'm in the 10, 15 range, then I would take a guy and go, okay, I'm going to rest you. Because it's that number 1 overall pick is the key of just like, you're the best guy. I think you can do it. I'm not drafting you to develop you for your first year. I want to see you play. And I think you're the type of player that gets more by learning. Because it's all, I do think players get a lot from learning in the film, but also some of them just need to see it to experience it.
I think I would almost certainly just tell the guy, hey, we really believe in you, but we're going to have a veteran starter in front of you. And you're just going to get to see and watch firsthand. And we're going to coach you. You're going to start. I would tell them that you're going to start next season no matter what. It's just learn now, learn from your experiences, and just watch. Just be a sponge.
That's fair. I'm not saying that's the wrong way. I'm just saying it's hard to do that in the quarterback market now.
You still get 4 years. I think that it's worth it. I think that the benefits outweigh the negativity of it.
Okay. Yeah. And to me, I would go case by case basis, but usually if I'm taking a top pick, he's probably going to play. And I'm just going to make sure I give everything in the environment, such as offensive line, okay. Like, I'm not going to have a stacked wide receiver, but I would make sure he has good offensive line, solid run game, and definitely coach, because that's, I think, to me, where the Bears failed and other coaches have failed. If you look at Sam Darnold, you could argue Baker. Well, yeah, Baker his first year, because it was still Hugh Jackson, I think. So there's a lot to discuss, but yeah, it's an interesting thing, and we'll have to see if the league adjusts. Because to me, it's really that contract. So let us know your thoughts in the comments, and Austin, I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Let us know. Would you want to bench your QB 1 year no matter what, or you want to start him no matter what, or how would you guys think about that? And please catch you in our next video.